I'm gonna warn you, if you're worried about not sleeping tonight, then you probably shouldn't continue because this video is a little bit creepy. We're looking at 5 horrifying facts about the Vikings. It's a well-known fact that the Vikings loved violence. Their leisure activities made the UFC look like a ballet recital. Death or serious injury was common in regular life. In a favorite Viking swimming game, a man would hold an opponent underwater with all his strength, and if the submerged man couldn't get to the surface, he was held until he drowned. Now, if the games themselves didn't lead to death on the spot, violence could erupt at any time after the fact. One account describes a 6-year-old boy driving an axe into the head of another boy after he was roughed up earlier. With violence such a regular part of everyday Viking life, and the conditions in Nordic Europe so harsh, Vikings wanted their children to be strong. They simply had to be. As children grew up, they were expected to work. The boys would fight and hunt with their fathers, and the girls would do chores around the farms. Now, with this expectation so central to society, an infant born with any kind of deformity was often left outside to die. Now, we all know that pillaging was a regular part of Viking society, but why did they do it exactly? Stealing gold and other valuables is an easy answer, but recent research has shown that there was an even darker, more disturbing reason. In addition to stealing wealth, Vikings would frequently kidnap English women and force them into becoming their wives. A recent study showed that 80% of males who originally settled in Iceland are from Norway, and 60% of women are from England. And let's be honest, it's highly unlikely that these women would have settled in such a cold, inhospitable place of their own accord. Old Christian writings indicate that Vikings performed human sacrifices, but since the monks who wrote these accounts never actually witnessed the events, these tales were dismissed as propaganda until recently. Writings from the Vikings themselves state that humans were the ultimate sacrifice, and their god Odin actually demanded it, but there wasn't any concrete evidence that this actually happened until 2001. In Denmark, archaeologists found human bones in a well alongside jewelry and weapons at a Viking settlement near Tisu. The bones came from children who were around 5 years old. Wells were important to the Vikings as Odin had apparently gained his knowledge by drinking from a well, so a sacrifice inside one makes a lot of sense. With that said though, it's thought that child sacrifices were only performed in extreme conditions when the Vikings had done something terribly wrong and needed a way to reconnect with their god. Executions were very common in Viking society. Many different methods were used, including one gruesome one called the Blood Eagle. It had several stages, starting with the Viking tied face down. The man's ribs were hacked from the spine with an axe, one by one. Once that was done, the ribs and skin were pulled back to make the victim's back look like wings while he was still alive. In the next stage, salt was rubbed into the wounds to add even more to the already excruciating pain. To finish it, the man's lungs were pulled out of his body and spread over the flesh and bone wings. The wings would appear to flutter as the lungs exhaled their final breath. Although it's believed that this torturous execution method was saved for special circumstances, it's absolutely horrifying to think that it happened at all. Well, there you have it. Let me know in the comments which fact you found most disturbing, and if you enjoy my content, be sure to subscribe and share this video with your friends. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.